Hey, sixth graders. So here we are with a problem on page 215. So if you're following along, I've got it right here under solve a real world problem algebraically. And like I've been doing that all along, but the other ones have had opportunities to use tables, bar models, things like that. And this one is more of a straight up algebraic problem, although I am going to give you some tips on how to tackle this. So Jared has 12 more comic books than Zoe. If they have 28 comic books altogether, find the number of comic books that Jared has. So what we're solving for is how many comic books that Jared has, okay? So that's our end goal, is how many does Jared have? What information do we have? Well, we know that Jared has 12 more than Zoe. All right, so we know he has 12 more than Zoe. So more is going to tell us addition, right? Whatever Zoe has plus 12. And if they have 28 comic books all together, well, right there, I know I'm going to be able to set up an equation because it's given me kind of the end answer. Whatever they have is going to equal 28 comic books because that's what they have all together. So when I have problems like this, and they often involve like people's names and the questions and stuff, I just kind of make, like I'll just say, all right, Jared, what do I know about Jared? And what do I know about Zoe? So they haven't given us any variables, so we can make them up. So I am going to say Zoe, we're just going to say Z. Zoe represents Z. And Jared has 12 more than Zoe. So you would take Zoe, that's a Z, plus 12. Does that make sense? So Z represents however many Zoe has. That's what Z is representing. And Jared has 12 more than Zoe, so we have to write that as Z plus 12. So let's just make it up and say if Zoe had 100 comic books, Z would represent 100. And then we know Joey has 12 more than Zoe. Jared has 12 more than Zoe. So we would say, oh, all right, he has 100 plus 12, because that 100 would have represented Zoe. But that is not actually what Z represents. Z is not 100. But what we know is when we combine these, they are going to equal 28. So if I write that out, Zoe, so Z, Zoe plus Jared, which is Zoe plus 12, equals 28, right? So again, just reiterate this. Z represents Zoe, and Z plus 12 represents Jared, okay? So Z represents Zoe, and Z plus 12 represents Jared, and when we add them up all together, it equals 28. That's why we're adding here, because if all together they have 28, then we need to add them together, right? So Z plus 12. So how do we write Z plus Z? Well, let's get rid of these right now, because now we're trying to combine like terms. So we can combine these, right? Because this is Z plus Z, so we can combine. So Z plus Z is equal to 2Z, right? So 2Z plus 12 equals 28. Okay, so now what do? I need to get rid of my constant because I'm trying to isolate the variable. I'm trying to get it on its own. So how do I undo positive 12? I undo positive 12 with its opposite. I minus 12. So if I minus 12 on the left of the equal sign, I have to minus 12 on the right of the equal sign. So now I have 2Z equals 28 minus 12, 16, right? 8 minus 2 is 6, 2 minus 1 is 2. Okay, am I done? No, I'm not done, because I have a coefficient here. I have not isolated my variable. I need to get rid of that 2. How do I get rid of that 2? It's multiplication. I'm going to do the inverse operation. I'm going to divide, because 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. So I can undo my multiplication with division. But if I do it on the left, I need to do it on the right. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I have z equals 16 minus 2 is 8. Now, the common mistake would be for kids to say, oh, Jared has 8. Z equals 8. That's not the correct answer, though, because what does the variable represent? The variable represents Zoe. So this actually is saying that Zoe has 8 comics. If Zoe has 8 comics, well, Jared had how much? Zoe had plus 12. So that means Jared has, what's 8 plus 12? 20 comics. And I can easily substitute there, right? By saying, well, if I combine those, because this says they have 28 altogether, well, Jared has 20 and Zoe has 8. 20 plus 8 is 28. So I know I did it correctly because that would mean they have 28 comic books all together. Woohoo! Nice job. Now you're going to do one on your own on Edpuzzle. Who is rocking the algebraic word problems? You are. Go get them.